Welcome back to TH1. Today, join us as we follow a young man building a shelter in the middle of a steep cliff. We don't know how our protagonist will accomplish this, so let's watch the entire process together. The first step he took in this ambitious project was to build a sturdy staircase to access the cliffside. He began by gathering logs, carefully selecting 2 long beams for the frame and some shorter ones for the steps. Using precision and skill, he cut each piece to size. Before assembling the staircase, he meticulously carved notches at the connection points to create a stronger and more secure fit between the beams and the steps. He used a machete and a hammer to make carving the notches easier and more efficient. With precise strikes and careful control, he skillfully shaped the connection points. Once all the components were ready, he moved on to the assembly process. He drilled precise holes using a hand drill, then reinforced the structure by hammering wooden pegs into place for added stability. With the staircase ready, he carried it to the cliff, carefully positioned it, and secured it in place. He began the challenging task of digging the bunker. He started by creating a small central hole to mark the initial point. Using a homemade compass, he skillfully sketched out the dimensions of the vault, ensuring accuracy in the layout. Next, he took his tools and began digging into the solid rock, following the marked lines. The soil of this cliff is very hard, requiring considerable strength and effort to break. As he dug deeper into the cliff, the confined space inside the bunker made it necessary to clear the excavated material continuously. With each stroke of his tools, he carefully pushed the loose dirt outside, freeing up space and allowing him to progress further into the mountain. Once the main space for the shelter was completed, he moved on to carving out cells for the kitchen as well as storage cells. Using a homemade compass, he carefully outlined the shape of the stove, then began digging until the depth was just right. To ensure air for the house, he climbed outside and dug a straight tunnel connecting the kitchen to the outside, making it a chimney. He carefully cleared out all the excavated soil from the ventilation tunnel after completing the digging process. Next, he turned his attention to the remaining areas of the cellar, where he dug several holes of varying shapes and sizes. These were not just for practical storage, but were part of his initial design plan to make the space more organized and functional. To maximize storage space and keep the area tidy, he also dug out an additional storage compartment underneath the bed platform he had designed earlier. This cleverly hidden compartment provided extra room for storing items while keeping the shelter tidy and efficient. Each design for the niches he carved was meticulously planned with a specific purpose in mind. Before digging, he carefully considered how each space would be used, ensuring that every nook and compartment served a practical function. After finishing the digging, he grabbed a saw and set out to collect additional sturdy wooden logs to enhance his project. Carefully selecting and cutting solid logs, he brought them back to the site. The first task was to create a support platform that would allow him to work on the logs more efficiently. Using a handsaw, he methodically cut the log into 2 equal beams, each straight and uniform in size. Taking his time, he used a chisel and mallet to carve out precise rectangular notches at both ends of each beam. Next, he prepared for smaller wooden posts to serve as the legs of the platform. Using a sharp axe, he beveled the ends of the posts, making it easier to hammer them into the ground. He carefully aligned the posts in a rectangular layout, spacing them evenly to create a solid foundation. At the top of the post, he used his chisel to create joints. Once the posts were ready, he lifted each beam into place, aligning the notches with the holes in the log. The result was a simple yet robust support rack. With the support rack ready, he began working on refining the surfaces of the wooden logs. Using an axe, he skillfully trimmed the rounded edges of the log, shaping them into square wooden bars. Once the logs were squared, he picked up his saw and carefully sliced them into thin wooden planks. Each cut was deliberate and steady, transforming the once rough logs into usable materials for his construction. Once the wooden planks were cut to the appropriate sizes, he used charcoal to mark precise notches on each piece. Carefully following the markings, he sawed away the outlined sections, ensuring accuracy in his cuts. The joints needed to be cut with absolute precision to ensure the wooden planks fit together seamlessly. With the prepared planks in hand, he began assembling them into a rectangular frame. Piece by piece, he joined the planks together, creating a sturdy wooden mold. He began the next crucial step of the process, mixing the soil with water to create a thick, clay-like mixture. Using his hands to fairly blend the earth with the water until it reached a smooth yet firm texture. With the mud prepared, he carefully poured it into the mold, ensuring it filled every corner. Planning to make a grill rack for the kitchen, he used round wooden sticks to make small holes. He turned his attention to the longer mold, which would be used for the sliding base of the door beneath the bed frame. He took a long branch and placed it on top, creating a groove along its length to create a track that would make it easier to slide the door open and close. For this part, he needed two identical pieces to ensure proper alignment and functionality. With steady hands, he eased each piece of the mold away. Now exposed to the air, the mud needed time to harden and solidify. While waiting for the mud to harden, he moved on to the next step, shaping the exterior chimney. For this, he gathered several small round wooden logs, half of which he sharpened to a point at one end using an axe. Using sharpened logs, he carefully nailed them to the cliff face on either side of the chimney opening. Each log was hammered firmly into place, creating two parallel vertical rows that extended upward. He took the remaining logs and laid them horizontally, attaching them across the two rows to form a connected structure. Next, he prepared more mud and began applying it generously around the entire chimney structure, carefully covering the wooden framework. Using his hands, he smoothed the surface, shaping the chimney into a cohesive and visually appealing shape. Once the basic shape was complete, he added a creative touch to his work. Grabbing a small stick, he delicately carved patterns into the wet mud, mimicking the appearance of bricks. Once the bricks had dried, he returned to inspect his work. The brick design for the grill was ready. He carefully removed the wooden rods that had created the ventilation holes and placed the brick onto the stove. He chopped some firewood, lighting a fire with a portion of it while storing the remaining wood in a small compartment beneath the stove for easy access. He took a piece of charcoal from the stove and used it to add decorative accents to the chimney. Next, he took the two remaining bricks and installed them under the bed frame, using them as rails for the sliding door. He then shaped two thin brick slabs he had previously found, using a machete to refine their edges. With steady hands and precision, he meticulously trimmed away any excess material around the sides. Bit by bit, He worked until the bricks were perfectly square, achieving a clean and polished result. His attention to detail ensured that the bricks were not only functional, but also well-crafted. These thin slabs became the sliding doors for the storage compartment. After attaching the sliding doors to the brick rails, he sealed the surrounding gaps with a combination of mud and leftover brick fragments. This ensured the structure was both sturdy and functional. Only the two sliding doors remained visible, giving the hidden storage area beneath the bed a clean and polished appearance. He then turned his attention to creating a useful tool, a sifter. To start, he constructed a sturdy frame for the sifter using wooden planks. Once the frame was complete, he gathered flexible vines and began weaving them tightly to form a fine mesh filter. The purpose of this sifter was to separate ash from remaining charcoal fragments, so it was essential that the weave was dense and uniform. With patience and precision, he ensured the vines were tightly interlaced, creating a durable and effective filtering surface. He needed to weave 2 layers of mesh for the sifter to ensure its effectiveness. Once the first layer was securely in place, he started on the second layer, weaving it just as meticulously, directly over the first. The double-layered mesh provided extra durability and ensured that the sifter could efficiently separate ash from the remaining charcoal fragments. He used the sifter to separate fine ash powder from the remaining charcoal fragments. Once he had collected the smooth, fine ash, he mixed it with water to create a pliable paste. He carefully shaped the mixture into small balls. Once prepared, he placed them into the stove to bake at a high temperature. This step was crucial for hardening the pellets and preparing them for their intended use in reinforcing the structure of the shelter. After the pellets had been fairly baked and hardened, he removed them from the heat and crushed them into a fine powder once again. He then mixed this ash powder with soil and water, creating a thick and cohesive mixture. This new compound was used to coat the walls of the shelter, providing an extra layer of insulation and structural integrity. With the prepared mixture in hand, he set to work covering the entire interior of the shelter. Starting at one corner, he carefully applied the thick blend to the walls, spreading it evenly with his hands to ensure every inch of the surface was coated. Moving systematically, he paid close attention to the texture, smoothing out any rough patches to create a uniform layer. He continued this process across the entire space, including the ceiling and all the niches he had previously carved. As he worked, he meticulously pressed and smoothed the surface, transforming the raw, rocky walls into a polished and cohesive space. This step marked a significant transformation in turning the shelter into a functional and inviting living area. After covering the entire shelter with the mixture, he allowed it time to dry. While waiting, he shifted his focus to processing the wooden logs he had gathered earlier. Taking a knife, he carefully shaped the round logs into square beams. Once the beams were properly shaped, he used a saw to slice them into thin planks. Each plank was then smoothed to create a flat and polished surface, ensuring they were suitable for the next stage of construction. He worked very hard because a large number of these wooden planks would be needed. He carefully drew outlines of interlocking shapes on both sides of each plank, spacing them evenly to ensure consistency. With the outlines complete, he picked up his saw and chisel, skillfully cutting and carving out the square notches and protrusions he had marked. His goal was to craft puzzle-like pieces that could fit seamlessly together, forming a sturdy and interconnected design. This process required a steady hand and a sharp eye, as the precision of these interlocking joints was crucial to achieving a seamless fit. As he worked, he inspected each piece meticulously, testing the fit of the joints to ensure they aligned perfectly. His careful attention to detail ensured that the planks would connect smoothly, creating a strong and unified structure once assembled. Watching him meticulously handle every step of the process, it was clear how much care and dedication he was putting into this project. As the carefully crafted puzzle-like pieces were ready, he brought them into the shelter. His mind already envisioning how they would transform the space. He began the installation at the bottom, placing each piece with incredible care. Slowly, he worked his way upward, adjusting each piece to curve seamlessly along the contours of the shelter's walls. Using a hand drill, he made precise holes to secure each piece, carefully driving in wooden pegs to fasten them firmly to the walls. His movements were slow and deliberate, each adjustment made with the utmost attention to detail. He measured and checked repeatedly to ensure that the placement of the pieces did not block any openings or disrupt the overall design of the walls. Every section of the wall was carefully considered, with each piece fitting perfectly into its intended spot, creating a stunning visual pattern that enhanced the shelter's interior. His design was not just about functionality, it was an artistic statement. The pattern of the interlocking pieces brought a sense of harmony and balance to the space, making the shelter feel both practical and beautiful. The addition of these uniquely placed wooden panels transformed the simple shelter into something truly special, offering a fresh, inviting look. The result was a space that was not only resilient and functional, but also visually striking, showcasing the craftsmanship and dedication he had poured into every detail. After completing the wall covering, he installed the folding table he had previously built into the pre-cut wall niche. This ingenious design featured a built-in table that could be folded out for use and neatly tucked away when not needed, maximizing the functionality of the limited space in the shelter. After completing the installation of the folding table, he decided to take a break to regain his strength for the tasks ahead. Next, he began making the door for his shelter. He started by forming a cross with 2 planks as the base, then framed it with 4 additional planks to create a sturdy square. 2 middle boards to divide into 4 parts. He used a hand drill and wooden dowels to firmly fix each piece, ensuring a sturdy frame. Moving to the first section of the frame, he began by attaching a solid base plank to serve as a sturdy foundation. With precision, he secured the plank firmly in place, ensuring it would support the additional boards he planned to add. He then took a saw to trim away any excess ends of the wooden pegs protruding from the frame. One by one, he laid additional planks tightly side by side, covering the entire section and sealing it completely. For the second section, he turned his attention to crafting a functional swinging door. He made a small frame, then nailed a few boards together, which he carefully attached to the frame with wooden nails in the middle, allowing the door to rotate smoothly. He paid special attention to the balance and alignment, ensuring it would operate smoothly, without sticking or wobbling. When the door was finished, he fastened it to the second corner of the frame. The remaining 2 sections were left open, reserved for the design of the main entrance door. He used a compass to draw a large circle on the planks, matching the diameter of the shelter's entrance. He carefully followed the lines he had drawn, using the saw to cut along the circle with precision. Each stroke was deliberate, ensuring that the shape of the door matched the design perfectly. He positioned the door into place, carefully aligning it with the frame. Using wooden nails, he fixed the door firmly. With each fastening, he double-checked the door's movement, making sure it was both secure and functional. Next, he turned his attention to creating the main door for the shelter. First, he carefully cut away the horizontal wooden beam that was obstructing the path, widening the opening to allow for easier access. He began assembling the door by laying horizontal wooden planks side by side, ensuring they fit tightly together. To secure the planks, he attached vertical support beams on the back, binding them firmly in place. After sketching the shape of the door, he used a saw to carefully cut along the lines, shaping it to fit the frame perfectly. Once the door had its final shape, he placed a large wooden dowel in the middle of the inside edge, using this dowel to secure the door to the frame. He carefully fixed the door into its frame, ensuring it was securely aligned with the opening. Once the door is in place, he tests the door's rotation, making sure it moves smoothly in the clock-like motion he designed. Instead of swinging open like a typical door, it would rotate like the hands of a clock, offering a unique, functional mechanism. Finally, he turned his focus to designing a staircase, one that would serve as a passage to the shelter while also being compact and efficient. This time, he decided on a folding design, ensuring that the staircase could be neatly stowed away when not in use. He meticulously measured and adjusted each vertical and horizontal plank, ensuring they fit together perfectly. Each step is carefully aligned to provide a secure, stable foothold, while the folding mechanism is designed to easily fold away when needed. The staircase was now a perfect blend of practicality and innovation, providing convenient access to the shelter while being discreet and easy to store when not needed. When the stairs were finally completed, that was when he finished all his work. With the final touches on the folding staircase, he stood back and admired the shelter he had built from the ground up. Now, his hard work was complete. He moved to prepare a well-deserved dinner, savoring the comfort of the very space he had crafted with his own hands. As he enjoyed his meal, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The storage beneath the bed had transformed into a hidden hearth, quietly providing warmth and coziness, making the shelter even more inviting. With everything in place, he finally allowed himself to relax. The shelter had become a sanctuary, offering both comfort and security. Thank you all for joining him on this incredible journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any upcoming videos. See you next time and take care.